Good morning. I've never shared this with anyone. I've never spoken to anyone about it in depth ever because part of me has been ashamed about this sort of addiction for a long time. And it's taken me the last 8 years to understand why I've decided to keep this addiction. I've mentioned it in my book. So I'm writing a book right now, and I'm halfway through editing it. So I'm actually done writing it, but I don't go into depth into it. But the point of me mentioning it there and talking about it here is because I just want you, even if it's that one person who's listening to this and has this addiction or this habit, right? Maybe it's not addiction, maybe it's a habit. I just want you to know that, at least for me, I found peace with it, and I decided, at least for now, to keep it. Now it's Trichotillomania. I can't even pronounce it. I was gonna look it up again, but it's on the title. So I've had this habit since I can remember, since I was in 4th or 5th grade, and I'm in my late 30s now. And it's somewhat common with people who have ADHD. People with ADHD do have addictions, right? And I'll explain to you where mine lies. And it lies in picking off the hairs off of my knuckles. Okay? That's where it is. That's mostly it. I'll mention one other part and that's it, but it's not many, okay? It's not my hair, at least, and it's not my eyebrows, although I do get a pleasant sensation of plucking the hairs out of my eyebrows, but I don't want to look like one of those cholas, because it's just not my look. So besides the hairs on my knuckles, which I feel intense pleasure whenever I pull out a hair, especially the ones here. And then the ones here on my index, I feel more pain, and I love that pain. The other one place is right here, and you see that I have like a scar, a bit of a scar. About 10 years ago, I noticed this coarse hair growing out of growing out of the back of my hand, and it just poked out. And I slowly pulled it out. And I mean, it was like the longest second. It's the longest second that it takes whenever I pull that hair out, and I do it so slow. And as it pulls out, I feel a variety of textures that feels like dislodging something, like maybe this. I could almost hear bricks being put back into place or out of place. I don't know. It's that I hear that. And then this pleasure that I get, like this pain, right? The sensation it belongs to me only. Suddenly, nothing else. It's like everything else disappears. And that is the only thing I could hear. And this dopamine hit lingers with me for days, for many, many days. And when I've looked it up online, I have this habit of hair pulling. A lot of it centers around getting help for that. And I never sought help for it because I wasn't doing it for hours a day. I mean, probably 5 or 10 minutes a day, which I know adds up. But it's my go-to dopamine hit when I am so bored, or when I'm like at work and I'm in between calls and I need to focus. It helps me refocus. Sometimes it helps me to zone in on one thing. Maybe it's meditating. I don't know exactly where my mind goes. Sometimes it does wander. Sometimes I meditate. I need to be more aware of that, but I am aware of it when I'm doing it a lot. And so I ask myself, this is what I've been asking myself in the last 8 years, is how does this serve me? Why haven't I gotten rid of it? I mean, if I'm honest, maybe I spent 15 minutes in bed when my husband wasn't home because he was on a business trip, just plucking out my hairs, digging out hairs. Because here's definitely the con of it is, yeah, you're spending time on it. 15 minutes or 5 minutes a day, it adds up over a course of the weeks, months, right? And I've been doing it since I was like at least in 4th grade. There's that. The other thing is the aesthetic point, right? I know I have beautiful hands, but there is that blemish here. Whenever it grows out, I see it. I see that ingrown hair. I start digging it, and then that leaves that blemish here, or here too. I've dug so much for that one stubborn hair that it doesn't always look pretty. Like here, recently, right? I think I probably went a little bit too far. You can see that it's a little pink. So the other thing is aesthetic. That is how this habit does not serve me, and maybe I need to calm down. I need to chill out with it. But in ways that it does serve me is that I know that people with ADHD typically have addictive personalities. And when I look back at my past addictions, I wonder if maybe this has replaced that in some ways. Like, if I'm not pulling out my hairs, what else could I be doing? What could I be doing, right? I could be doom scrolling, which I think is way worse. Okay, way worse, because whenever you pick up your phone, on average, you'll be there for 15 minutes, at least. And I'm sure that's increased over time. And I hate myself for it after it. I've deleted Instagram many times. What else could I be doing? Well, I could be eating. I definitely had an addiction to food when I was a teenager, and I was 14 years old. I was overweight, obese. Yeah, I was a little overweight. I was 143 pounds, and I had an addiction to hot Cheetos. Maybe I'm kidding, but come on, I weighed 143 pounds, and I just ate tons of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and hot Cheetos, and my mom did not really correct me. What else? What's another addiction? Being impulsive, traveling a lot, that could be it. But another one that I could definitely think of is paddle. So maybe addictions and habits come in a variety of forms. They do. But when I was playing paddle, it's like tennis. Suddenly I became unemployed, and that is all I could think about. My next game. I just wanted to get better. And I was playing 3 times a week. I was putting in like 9 hours of work at the court. I wasn't, going broke for it, but at the same time, I'm unemployed. I have unemployment. Why the hell am I doing this? I stopped though. It was like a month before. Well, immediately I went down to playing 1 time a week. Anyways, my husband and I argue about this. So that was my last addiction. And I guess what I want to point out to you is, if I'm not doing this, this is another habit, right? I don't think it's bad. Helps me think. But if I'm not hair pulling my knuckles, or waiting for this to come back out, what else could I be doing? So here's the thing that I think is sort of a gift. It can be a gift for people with ADHD, and that's that we have the ability to get over things quick, right? Some of us. Raise your hand if you do. I would love to know. And that could drive other people crazy. So I'll give you an example. Over the weekend, my husband and I took our daughter on a hike, and I don't hike too much, but it was my daughter's 3rd adult hike, and I was off, so finally I got to go, and I really wanted to see for my eyes. I wanted to see my 6-year-old climb mountains, and oh my god, it was the hardest of the 3, and was miserable in the beginning. But anyway, so there, what happened was we finally got to the waterfall. We're at the bottom of the waterfall, and I'm like, I climbed back up so I can get our backpack. So I was looking for her black pants, and looking down, she was suddenly naked, and she was standing on this rock where the water was falling, where the water was, flowing. And I'm like, what is she doing there? And then I'm looking down because where I'm climbing, it is steep. It's like a wall, and I'm climbing down. I look down to see my feet, and then I look up again, and suddenly she's hanging on. She slipped, and she's hanging on to a rock, to a slippery rock. And I'm like, what? And then I look down again because I don't want to trip. I don't want to twist my ankle. That's the worst thing that you can do. The worst thing that can happen, and then you can hold up everyone. And I look down, and when I look up again, my husband is going after her. I don't know how serious this is. I don't know. But in my mind, I'm like, why is she naked on a rock? I would not let that happen. And then I come down, and everyone's like, oh, that was a close call. And I'm like, I got my backpack, but the pants aren't there. Actually, my backpack's already there. But I'm like, the pants aren't there. They're not there. And my husband's like, how could you be thinking about the pants when our daughter almost died? That was his thing. And he is still processing it. It's been more than 48 hours. And the next day, he's like, how could you be thinking about pants when our daughter almost died? And I'm in my mind, I'm like, well, she didn't die. You were there. I knew she was going to be safe. And it's maybe when I witnessed it, because he said, did you see it? And I said, yeah, I did see it. So he confirmed that I saw it. Everybody was surprised. How did you feel about that? As one woman asked me, Paola, and I said, I think she was going to be fine. So I'm thinking about it the next day, and it's like, why am I not freaking out? My husband thinks I should be freaking out, and he's upset that I'm not freaking out like he is. Well, it could be, one, that maybe I wasn't there to witness it, right? It could be, two, that if it were me down there, I would not let that happen. And I don't want to be upset. I don't want to be upset because I also don't want to guilt trip my husband. Or three, or it could be all these things, right? But three, it could be that I just get over things really quickly. And does that make me a bad person? No. So this morning, instead of thinking of what could have happened, I thought about that dopamine hit that I got when I was pulling out the hair here. Or sometimes I have like a really good hair that I find, right? And I'm pulling that out. And it happens as I'm waking up. And then I go back to my daughter. My husband told me that she could have died. And then my heart sinks. But what good would that do to me? I'm the kind of person that for the most part, I do learn my lesson. When it stings, it doesn't tend to happen again. So I guess in a way, my habit, the way it has sometimes it serves me, is that instead of thinking about the worst case scenario, I'm kind of thinking about this. Now, I'm going to quickly tell you about an opposite story, okay? I was in Belize, me, my husband, my family, and my daughter, were visiting friends. And we go to the Belize Zoo, which is not a zoo, by the way. It's more of a sanctuary, which everyone has to check out. It's incredible. I've been there several times already. But this time we went at night, and we had a private tour. And the first thing that the tour guide said was, there are some snakes. They are venomous, so just be careful. Just like that, right? Now, if I didn't have my daughter with me, I probably wouldn't be on the lookout as much. But I got all mama bear when I heard that. And I was anxious the whole time. Anxious, nervous, whatever you call it. I was like, Santana, no, don't veer to the right. Don't veer to the right. No, just in front of me. So mama bear. And my husband never saw that because we are not helicopter parents. I mean, like, our daughter's 6 years old. She is doing her another sleepover, maybe her 5th or 6th, with the 3rd family. Okay, we're not helicopter parents. But knowing that, I was like not a good person to be around. Anyways, I'm not a bad parent. That's it. So that is how my habit of pulling out my hair has served me, and I've decided not to do anything about it for now because I get a dopamine hit from it. And if I'm not getting it from here, where else would I be getting it? Yeah, sometimes I do want to sit in the kitchen and I get a snack that's crunchy because I need it. And if there's soda, club soda, I'll go for that instead. And if you can relate, and if you have a habit or addiction, think about it. How is it serving you? How is it not serving you? If you're gambling, you're only losing $100 a week. Well, that's $400 a month. Not for me. You're cheating. I don't know, right? You just think about it. Like, how is it serving you? How is it not? What are the pros and cons? And so far for me, at this age, I've decided to stay with it. And I noticed that, and thanks to meditating, I only meditate 12 minutes a day, and it's been amazing for me. I noticed that when I'm so busy, like I can get into work, I can hyper focus and work, and maybe that's good that I can be addicted to that, to the detriment of my family maybe, where it's like, okay, now everything looks like chaos. I'm not cleaning up after myself, not picking up after myself. What was I gonna say? I noticed that when I'm so busy, suddenly I have a lot of hairs. My goodness, when was the last time I've done this? I don't need to do this. I'll just save it for later, right? But when I do less of it, is because life is so busy. So it becomes sort of like a temperature of my life. And that's it. And if you can relate to this, please subscribe, hit like. Again, I've never shared this with anybody in depth. I can continue to go on and explain the pleasure that I get. Like, I could even think about it now. But hopefully you can relate, and if one person can relate, and even if you don't comment, that's fine. I hope that you found this useful. Quick update on my nails. They're chipped, right? But I'm gonna go get them done, and I'm gonna get French tips, a really cool twist on the French tip. And it's going to be gel. I know, I didn't want that, but it has to be gel because it's Thanksgiving and I just want to look fantastic. Thank you. Bye.